Elon Musk is often described as the richest person in the world. The number attached to his name changes constantly, sometimes by billions in a single day. But what that number represents is widely misunderstood. Because most people assume wealth works like income. Money comes in. Money goes out. The bigger the number, the easier life becomes. Elon Musk's wealth does not work that way. In fact, his money behaves very differently from the kind most people interact with every day. And understanding that difference reveals something important about how money actually works in the modern world. Not how to get rich. Not how to copy anyone. Just how the system itself functions. Elon Musk does not receive billions of dollars in cash. He does not wake up to massive deposits landing in a bank account. Most of his wealth cannot be spent, transferred, or even accessed easily. It exists mostly as ownership. Ownership of companies whose value is determined not by today's profits, but by what the market believes they might become in the future. This is where the first misunderstanding begins. For most people, money is something that arrives after work is done. A paycheck. A transfer. A fixed amount that appears on a schedule. That money feels real because it is usable. It pays rent. It buys food. It disappears quickly. Musk's wealth does not behave like that. It expands and contracts without him doing anything at all. On some days, his net worth increases by billions. On other days, it drops just as quickly. Nothing material changes in his daily life during those swings. This tells us something critical. Money, at large scales, is not a reward for effort. It is a reflection of belief. Belief in future value. Belief in control. Belief in long-term dominance. Musk's wealth grew not because he earned more per hour, but because the companies he owned were increasingly seen as important, powerful, and difficult to replace. That distinction matters. Early in his career, Musk did receive a large sum of money when PayPal was sold. That money could have been protected, diversified, and preserved. Instead, most of it was reinvested into companies that were far from stable. At times, dangerously close to failure. There were periods when his personal liquidity was low. When success was not guaranteed. When the future depended on survival rather than growth. This part of the story is often skipped. Because it doesn't fit the idea that wealth is about comfort or certainty. But money systems reward exposure, not safety. The more tied your finances are to outcomes far in the future, the more volatile your position becomes. The more uncertain it feels. And paradoxically, the more upside it carries if belief eventually aligns in your favor. This is not advice. It is an observation. At scale, money flows toward ownership, not income. Salary is predictable. Ownership is not. Salary is exchanged for time. Ownership is tied to perception. Musk's compensation has frequently been structured around company performance rather than guaranteed pay. This means his financial fate is linked directly to how others evaluate the companies he controls. That creates a strange situation. His wealth can grow dramatically without a single dollar changing hands. Because the value exists on paper, inside markets, inside expectations. This reveals another important truth. Money does not measure effort. It measures position. Position within a system. Position within ownership structures. Position within narratives that shape future value. When people say, Elon Musk is worth X billion dollars, they are not describing money he possesses. They are describing money others believe could exist if everything were converted, sold, and accepted at current prices. That distinction is rarely discussed. Most people experience money as something finite and fragile. Once it is spent, it is gone. Once a bill is paid, the balance drops. Large-scale wealth behaves differently. It is abstract. It is layered. It is delayed. It relies on confidence that stretches years forward. This is why Musk's wealth can increase during periods when companies are not yet highly profitable. The market is not rewarding present comfort. It is pricing future control. This is also why wealth can disappear quickly when belief shifts. Nothing physical needs to break. Nothing tangible needs to fail. All that needs to change is confidence. This is uncomfortable to acknowledge, but important to understand. Money systems are not designed to be fair reflections of effort or struggle. They are designed to allocate control. Who controls assets? Who controls platforms? Who controls infrastructure others depend on? At that level, money becomes less about spending and more about leverage. This explains why Musk's lifestyle does not expand proportionally with his net worth. Why much of his wealth remains locked inside companies. Why selling large portions of it could destabilize the very value it represents. The wealth exists because it is mostly untouched. That is another counterintuitive truth. Large wealth is powerful precisely because it is not constantly used. Most people are forced to interact with money immediately. Bills arrive. Expenses demand attention. Time pressure shapes every decision. Musk's wealth operates on a different timeline. Years instead of weeks. Market cycles instead of pay periods. This difference in time horizon is one of the clearest divides between income-based money and ownership-based money. It also explains why the story of Elon Musk's wealth often feels disconnected from everyday experience. Because it is. Not better. Not worse. Just fundamentally different. Understanding this does not require admiration or criticism. It requires clarity. Money at small scales is about survival. Money at large scales is about structure. Structure determines who waits, who moves, and who absorbs risk. Elon Musk's wealth teaches that money is not simply something earned and stored. It is something positioned, delayed, and believed in. And belief, once it reaches a certain size, begins to move faster than effort ever could. This is how money actually works. Not as a reward. Not as a scoreboard. But as a system that responds to ownership, expectation, and time. And once you see that, the numbers attached to names like Elon Musk stop feeling mysterious. They start to look like signals. Signals of where belief has accumulated, and how quietly it can shift.